Hey guys, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. I just wanted to make a few videos today. I was planning on doing some last night and I got really lazy, so I just kind of took it easy. Had a long day at work yesterday morning and then come home for a long evening of working in the house, so yeah, I just decided to be lazy, so I'm going to do some videos today. Yay! Okay, this one I wanted to do a video response to Mally61605. She did a video the other day about people's reactions when you tell them about your path, and she was more or less focused on the witchcraft aspect of it, and I'll just tell you some experiences I've had when I've told certain people, because not many people in my everyday life really know that I'm a witch, but the ones that do, luckily, have all been very receptive. Let's see, one girl, I told, who is, we've been friends for a while now. I've maybe known her for a year, but she's really cool. I love her to death. Her and her family, like, they're, just wonderful people. And the funny thing is I was actually, I wasn't like drunk when I told her, but we'd been drinking a little bit. It was after like a football party we had a while back, and let's see, how did this go exactly? Basically, she is a Christian, and she used to belong to a church who, she was, kind of new to this church, and she was trying to get involved and, be a part of the church and work with the youth and things like that. Well, she and her husband and her kids were living in a house that they believed was haunted, and they wanted to call in a paranormal team to come investigate. Well, word got around to their church that they were looking to get a paranormal investigator in, and they found out very shortly after all this happened that, the church was kind of borderline cult. Like, they were really weird. Actually, used to date a guy that, after we broke up, he started going to this church, and he went kind of ballistic on me. I mean, this has been, quite a few years back. But, even then, I wasn't Christian. I was, just kind of agnostic, and still didn't believe in heaven or hell or devil, or the devil rather, or anything like that. And he started kind of freaking out on me, calling me like constantly, "I just want you to know I'm praying for you, because you're going to go to hell." And I was just like, yeah, could you please not pray for me, because you're the worst person I know. You are one of the most horrible, horrible people I've ever met. Don't pray for me, because if you're praying for me, I'm fucked, okay? But anyway, that's the kind of mentality that it turned him into, and he was like always in his Bible praying, like reading and praying, and that's all that he wanted to do. Like, this church apparently just brainwashed people, and my friend, thought it was just a good church, and they got involved in it. Can't speak. But when the word got around, they were looking to get a paranormal team to come investigate their house, and they were having really crazy, things happening, like doors opening and closing by themselves, cabinets opening, doors locking themselves, like the bathroom door used to lock itself, really crazy things. The, one Sunday morning they were in church, and, the pastor basically called her out for being a witch in church, and we were outside after that party talking about it, and she was telling me how horribly embarrassing it was, and how everyone kind of looked at her, and like they just kind of sat there like, what do we do, and just how horrible it was, and they never went back, obviously. But I kind of went into that, and I was like, well, it's kind of funny, I'm a witch, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. She's like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but to call someone out, so she was totally cool with it. you know, she was just, you know, 100% okay and open with it, and kind of surprised me. And I usually probably wouldn't have told someone that had I not had a little bit to drink. But I mean, I have, you know, since, and I've been totally sober. But seeing that I've not known her, you know, as long as I've known a lot of people, I was kind of weary about it. But, you know, she's totally cool with it. You know, she doesn't mind. You know, we're still, you know, really great friends. She's one of my best friends, actually. And, you know, she's fine with, you know, my being a pagan. And she's one of these who is a Christian, but she understands that not everyone's the same. I think she kind of looks at Christianity much in the same way I look at it, as being kind of like a guideline, and she believes in heaven and hell and all that kind of stuff, but she's not like one of these, you know, crazy Christians that thinks everyone's going to go to hell if they're not a Christian. So I'm really, you know, fortunate to have her as a friend. So yeah. So another one, I told a lady that I work with that I am pagan, and that came about because she actually was talking to another coworker about church, and she invited me to church. And this is the same lady I got the Lemurian Connection book from. If you saw, I think it was it was my first book video I did. Talked about it, and I know she's an open-minded person, and so she invited me to church, and I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. I was actually, you know, intending to be a little bit more respectful, but it just kind of came out, yeah, no thanks. And she kind of looked at me funny, and then it was just me and her, like, we get along really well. She was like, so what's the deal with you in church? And I was like, well, I'm just of other, you know, religious beliefs. And she's like, well, what is that? And I said, well, I'm pagan. And she was like, okay, what does that mean? And, you know, I went and explained to her, you know, my beliefs. You know, I don't believe in heaven, hell, believe in the God and the goddess, things like that. And, you know, just kind of went into it very briefly with her. And, you know, she's okay with it. Like, she didn't, you know, start freaking out on me or anything. But she, I think, already kind of had suspicions that I was into things like that, because she called me one night about something about work, and she asked what I was doing, and I was actually sewing some little drawstring pouches for my crystals, and I was telling her, I was like, oh, I'm sewing. Oh, what are you sewing? I was like, oh, I'm making some little drawstring pouches for my crystal collection. She's like, what kind of crystals do you have? And I was telling her about them, and, you know, like, I took them to work, and I've shown them to, showed her to, bleh. I've shown her my crystal collection. And, you know, she likes it, and she used to be really, like, big into tarot and things like that when she was, you know, like, younger, and, like, she's, you know, she's fine with it. She makes little, like, witch comments every now and then, because I think she kind of put two and two together. But she's fine with it. Like, we're, you know, we're friends, and she's okay with it. You know, she doesn't freak out on me, and, you know, you need to go to church or anything like that. So, you know, it's awesome. I've told, you know, a few people, and it's like, I've heard, I think Charming Pixie Flora said this, that people, you know, they react how you want them to react, and it's definitely the truth. There are many ways to say the same thing. Like, if someone asks you, you know, what your religious belief is, you can either be like, oh, well, I'm pagan, and, you know, be excited and show that joy that you have for it, and they're going to be like, oh, well, okay, well, you know, what does that mean? Whereas you could be like, oh, well, I'm pagan, and they're going to be like, ooh, that sounds bad, what is that? Ooh. You know, I think it really depends on how you present things to people, and, you know, that's how they're going to end up reacting, how you know, present it. You have the exception to the rule, obviously, because, you know, some people are just like that. They're not very receiving of things. They're, you know, already got some sort of, you know, preconceived notion in their head, and that's what they think, and they don't really care what you have to say about it because you're automatically wrong. And those people are just not even worth your time. So, if I know someone's going to be like that, I don't really go into, like, the whole witchcraft thing. Like, I remember when I told my best friend I was pagan, like when I first got on my path, like, you know, for wholeheartedly, because she's known for a long time that you know, I don't really believe in heaven or hell. Like, that's always been, you know, a big thing with me is, you know, I didn't believe in it. And like, we were just having a conversation one night, and I forgot what we were talking about, but she kind of stopped me, like, you know, mid-conversation, and she was like, she's like, so what are you into these days? And I was like, well, you know, I kind of, you know, found this path I'm really into, and, you know, I feel, you know, like at home here. I was like, you know, it's, you know, the pagan path, you know, basically. And she kind of looked at me, and she was like, you're not into some crazy shit, are you, Crystal? And I was like, no. So, yeah, she didn't really say a whole lot about it, but, you know, we've been best friends since the 8th grade. I'm pretty sure I could sprout 3 extra limbs and she'd be fine with it. So, she's my best friend forever. I love her like a sister. We've been there, you know, thick and thin. So, you know, people, they really do most of the time respond how you present things and how you want them to respond. And I don't really talk about it with my family. They know I don't really go to church. And actually, my grandma found my tarot deck when I was still living with my grandparents. I left it sitting on my bed, but I had like the blanket folded over it because I just got it in the mail. And I came home, I had gone somewhere, and I came home, and it was moved like to on top of my pillow, but still covered up. And I knew someone came down there and moved it, and I figured it was her, and then my mom told me that she found it. And yeah, I don't go into it with my family because I don't feel like getting into that with them. So, yeah. I think my mom actually asked me one day, which had it just been her and I probably would have, you know, answered differently, because I'm to this point, I guess, where I don't really want to get into it, but, you know, if it comes up, I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not embarrassed by it. But she was over at my house helping me, and she saw my tarot deck, and she was like, well, don't you think that's kind of witchcraft? And, you know, I had like company over, and company who knows, but like I didn't want to get into this whole thing with company around. So I was like, it's like, well, not necessarily. And she just kind of left it at that. So yeah. I don't guess I have a whole lot else to say about it, except those are just some experiences I've had. Yeah, you know, that's about it. I feel like I've rambled for a while, so yeah, I'm just gonna start talking in circles, but I don't shut up now. So, blessed be, guys.